Yeah, why don't we get started? I'm sure more people will be joining over the next few minutes. But that being said, I'll hand it over to Likita for a quick intro and some housekeeping formalities. So Likita, please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today's webinar is Chatbot for Change, Revolutionizing FPOs for Conversational Intelligence. This webinar is about how PRADAN has involved Agrayan as a conversational chatbot platform for bringing in digital transformation in farmer producer organization in India. So I will just lay out the agenda for today's webinar. First, we will begin with the introduction. Then we'll move on to the main highlight of this webinar, wherein we'll discuss about India's 10,000 FPOs goal and Pradhan's role in it, the need for FPO chatbots, and how we designed FPO chatbot to bring in farmer engagement within rural India. And then we'll showcase a FPO chatbot live, and then we'll have a live Q&A section wherein you can ask your questions and the panelists and the speakers will answer your questions. Some housekeeping rules: this session will be recorded and the recording will be made available on our social media platform and our website. The question will be taken via the Q&A box and you can enter your question at any time. We'll be addressing your questions at the end of the session or in the middle of the session if it is necessary. We'll just move on to the introduction of our panelist here. I will hand over the dais to Varun Prabhakar to introduce our moderator, Ashok Kumar Meda, sir. Over to you, Varun.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce an old friend, Mr. Ashok Meda. Ashok has been a professional banker for 35 years, working in Asian and African emerging economies. And he's been with multiple leading multinational and Indian banks. During his time within banking, his passion really was focused on developmental banking initiatives. But since we have gotten engaged, I basically met Ashok at the Center of Excellence for Farmer Producer Organizations in Karnataka. This was pre-COVID time, where FPOs were just starting to get formed and the real push towards creation of FPOs from the government side was taking shape. Since then, Ashok has been a real stalwart within the agriculture space, working with the government, working with private sector, and most importantly, working directly with farmers and farmer producer organizations. He has his hands and fingers in almost everything that's going on, and has been a great supporter for Agwise and me personally. So I'm very excited to have him moderate the panel. And I'll hand it over to Ashok now to introduce both Rahul and myself.
Thanks, Varun. I hope I'm audible and the screen is clear.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for the nice words. Some may be very positive, some could be negative also. The journey has been very good with Agwise. I'm so happy. Only one thing to add is in terms of the profession, the backing is by qualification in agriculture science and also MBA from IIM and then IT. So it's a blend of 3 dimensions, which I try to deliver back to the society. That's the small words, I should say. It's so nice, Varun, to be with you. You recall it very well that we met in one of the BISLA meet organized by Center for Excellence, those days by the government of Karnataka, where I was leading the show. I think the attraction for you was putting your knowledge base as a mechanical engineer, coming to the IoT platforms, and the most recipient segment is agri and rural ecosystem. And your focus has been very, very targeted. I know the audience you face both on the tech side, maybe people who develop the products and also deliver it to the kind of grassroots who want to use it. Likewise, very, very focused, I should say. And I'm very glad to get speakers like Rahul, Rahul Singh from, PRADAN. Varun, this has been a very good convergence, I should say, in the entire session today. Rahul ji represents PRADAN. In fact, PRADAN, I was oriented to go through that in the Tata Cornell Institute's presentations. And they simply suggested that Cornell is PRADAN is the organization which has graduated itself from the NGO to CBO responsibilities and focusing very well with women-led FPOs. This is a very, very distinctive phenomenon I appreciated right in that moment. Good to see somebody who has associated so well. It's not easy to make 105 women-led FPOs reach out to 9 states, coming into something like, I know you have some 500 million plus, 500 crores plus turnover being transacted in the FPOs, kind of credit to you. I think this is very, very brief introduction I want to make. And when you come with your own presentation, giving the introduction of your companies, I think we'll go more deeper. I'm privileged to be moderating this session. The title of the session itself says cultivating a success, and then engaging farming community and digital transformation and the FPOs. So it is a very broad areas where we are trying to do and very futuristic, I should say. Having worked very, very intensively with the FPOs, both the government assignment and also with the foundations I lead, founded by us, FPO, it's like several blind men touching a big elephant. Now everything can happen there. Like if somebody touches the human or somebody touches the very grassroots level, remote area FPO, they have a different description. When it comes to a FPO which is in the periphery of a metro, it's a different FPO where IT integration can be very small. But otherwise, we are handling a very big giant. And I was again, I recollect the Tata and Cornell presentation where they tried to do somewhere in September, they gave a paper saying, what is the kind of access, what is the kind of FPO magnitude, like how it has grown. Nobody has a data. Nobody has a data because it's a government-run. SFAC, of course, is an independent body, but it's a government-run enterprise, handed over as an AI to the NGOs to handle. I've seen from the day one, from SFAC levels coming to the grassroots level through the government and state. Everything is possible and everything is not possible here. There's a big elephant which you see. So the way if you say 47,000 is the FPOs registered in SFAC, and hardly 1/3 of it is active. I'm not going to statistics, but I'm telling you the magnitude of challenge we have. Why they have not done? Why they have not come into the kind of activity orientation has mooted too many questions. Like if you start listing the problems, Rahul will start laughing at me like these problems are always existing. But I think the interactive session today should be more on solution orientation. So what's the kind of challenges or big, solutions are coming to the, mitigating the challenges. I think that's where I'm very keen to hear Rahul, which has done fantastic work, particularly handling the gender issues where women are not recognized. In terms of the mainstream, they get dominated by somebody else. But again, farmer engagement is not easy. And the providing, I was telling about the kind of database of the country as a whole, but database even at a FPO level is so difficult. So getting that at a particular level is a long gestation, and then pulling it to the CBO level and going to the state and government of India. I think another 10 years we are going to struggle with this. But here and there successes are there. Successes have to be translated. How do you do that? Like it could be kind of organizing the FIGs within FPOs where digitization is most crucial. That's where I see advice coming in, where you start connecting them. Accessibility is with a kind of Wi-Fi or the way you put through the networking there itself. I've seen it's working very well. Yeah, maybe in the introductory phase when we started talking to the FPOs. But if Rahulji with Pradhan has done this, executed all, but this kind of success stories has to come. Otherwise, I've seen it's quite robust in communication mechanism. But one thing I really appreciate is the kind of language barrier has been put through up top. Like it's there in local language, Telugu and Kannada, and maybe Hindi and Jharkhand language. So English doesn't work here. So I don't know if the audience want us to be speaking in Hindi, but I'm more comfortable in English to do. But the communication to the grassroots has to be in their language. Another part which I did appreciate with Nimbleworks and advice is connecting convergence. Again, I come back to that saying that Agri advisory is there. Then capacity building can happen. Skilling is most important. Other day we were there with the Krishi Vijnana Kendras, where the footfall was very heavy. In terms of whoever came to the KVK Krishi Melas, they were visiting what IT can do for me. So the chat part was one of the best attractive mode there. They started asking me, in our own farm as a demonstration, we have put the other aspects of IoT solution, but chatbot was the attractive thing, like how much it costs me, can the FPO adapt this immediately? I think people, the audience here will be very keen to hear Rahulji's how he could make this happen. I don't think it will happen overnight. By taking the feedback from the Pradhan, Agwais would have matured it to better delivery mechanism, improving themselves. That will always happen because ecosystem is a dynamic, process. It will keep demanding. Nothing happens overnight.
Okay, before we move forward, we have a poll question up. It'll just give us a decent idea of who the audience is and where you're coming from, so that we can tailor the discussion for the audience. So please, everybody, do respond to the poll question. And I think while the responses are coming through, Ashok, you can go ahead and start with the panel and the discussion.
Yeah, I was only trying to say about what's the opportunities being left. Somehow I always feel FPO structure is the last rope given to the grassroots of the farming community. Like everything has been tried. I'm not going to the historical aspects, like whatever farmer organizations are coming. This is a last rope given to this community. We have to make this success. If this is a failure, I think they have lost these things, these initiatives, these aspects being, thrust upon by the government missionary or the NGOs, otherwise whoever is a stakeholder. I think they are going to lose the battle. And whatever you do in strengthening the FPO mechanism, FPO as an institution, I think that will lead the success and opportunities which are lying in the country will actually be. Like we can boast saying we are topmost producers in a couple of commodities like spices or many commercial food grains, food aspects. Like it could be wheat and rice in second, cattle. We have the largest population. We have second largest arable lands. Now, how do you encash these things, which can be possible only by the grassroots level workers who are contributing relentlessly in their own way. But to graduate them up, there has to be convergence. There has to be, aspirations built in these farming community to come in. I think this chatbot thing, which is coming in, and converging, giving as a tool for the communication mechanism to NGOs and also FPOs. I think the right way you have moved is going to the CBBOs and a couple of states where it's entirely heterogeneous aspects. Like you don't find FPOs of the same age profile. You don't find agroclimatic zones. Like we have 20 agroclimatic. Each climatic zone will demand a different thing. So how do we customize our activity and also the deliverables like IT aspects coming in? And the other aspect is also the kind of flag posts put by the IT deliverables, the government. They're all they look near, but it always I equally compare that to a mirage. You don't reach them. But how to make it happen is the people who are engaged with it. I think with these few introductions, I don't want to go into statistics, but this is the way I thought we should get the panelists coming in to speak, sharing their experiences. Only one point I would like to request panelists is, if you go on listing the challenges, it is a never-ending process. So we'll not do, maybe you can make a mention of a challenge, maybe a failure also, but coming to the aspects where you could mitigate that challenge, how you could resolve it. And that's the take home for the people who are here. Maybe it's a development agency coming in, technology providers. Then there are a few FPOs participating today, individuals, maybe they're CEOs of the organizations in Karnataka or otherwise. And businesses also should actually start educating the farming community what's their expectation. So in these few words, I leave the floor open to the panel. I leave the choice to Rahul and Varun to come in. I think Rahulji should come first because he has used the technology, and let him speak about the experience sharing and also what's next with him. One aspect I would like to indicate is, how do you choose your FPOs, and how do you nurture them, and what's the kind of length of the engagements you commit to them. Like it comes into your responsibility, and when do you make them self-sufficient to handle? I don't think the CBPO or NGOs or IAs are a permanent feature for an FPO, so they have to be handed over. So what do you feel about that? I think this can be the kind of framework which I expect you to put through. The audience are most welcome. Put it on the chat mode. We'll seeing that, and I welcome the intervention as and when the discussion happens.
Thank you, Ashokji. Thank you very much. I hope my voice is audible enough. Varun, can you just confirm it?
Yes, it's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashokji, for a very wonderful words and insightful introduction of PRADAN and mine also. And at the same time, I also want to welcome all the audience present here today. As Ashokji has asked a bit longer question, so please give me a time to respond it one by one.
Rahul, we've lost your connection.
Ashok has a belief in community institution, and we understand that only farmer and community. Just let me put my camera off. I think it will otherwise hamper the voice. Is that okay? My voice is okay?
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. So as I said, PRADAN strongly believe in community-based institution, And we also believe that only a farmer or the society or the community should occupy the driver's seat, and they should be responsible for their destination, for their well-being, and for their growth also. At the same time, as you know, that the previous decades were belong to the self-help group, uh, and I mean, Pradan and similar CSOs had worked tirelessly and brought the model. And at the same time, government has also accepted this model. And now it is a kind of flagship program. You can understand with SRLM, NRLM is there. We understand that this is FPO would be going to the next chapter. As a self-help group movement, this, like Ashok is also rightly mentioned, that there are 40,000 odd number of FPOs are registered in different formats, maybe FPC or cooperatives. But this era is the coming era is going to belong to the FPO. And Pradhan, the way Pradhan worked with self-help group, Pradhan has also engaged in promoting FPO. Let me, I will come on our outreach and our impact as far as FPO is concerned. But let me expose you about the how Pradhan engages, that what Ashok has mentioned, asked me to share, like how Pradhan works with how Pradhan choose the area, choose the FPO, choose the community. So in that way, let me let me tell you about the broad approaches, the way Pradhan works with the FPO. Before that, let me clarify it that FPO is only a step, only a kind of you can say a means to reach up to the our larger vision, our larger goal, Pradhan's larger vision, Pradhan's largest goal, which is to create a just and equitable society. So in that larger vision, larger goal, FPO is just a means. And even though it is a means, we work tirelessly. Our step-by-step approach is like we start engaging with the community mobilization, where we we engage with farmers, especially women farmers, for the concept seeding, for clarifying about the FPOs, formation of producer groups, as Ashok mentioned, mobilizing them in the FIGs in that way. At the same time, we also start identifying the key livelihood resources. What are the major crops, major commodities they work, what work well, what doesn't work well. And at the same time, we also start understanding what package of practices the community follow, and what would be the best way of doing it, what can be the best package of practice. So these all aspects we keep on engage with the universities, with the research institute, to find it out while doing the community mobilization, while identifying the livelihood resources. And at the next step, we also start finding out the critical resources.
Rahul, we lost your voice connection.
Maybe at the same time, we also mobilize the irrigation resources from where how the bottlenecks of livelihood can be removed. So how the irrigation can be improved, how the warehouses can be built, how the other maybe processing thing can come from where the resources are is there. With them, so that the cause can be supported. And then one thing is very important in our FPO engagement, that is what is production. Farm producer organization, producer and production is the key word in FPO, isn't it? So in that, production is also necessary, and it should not be just a consumable production, it should be marketable also. So we believe that marketable surplus should be there. So what as we have as I earlier said in my approach, that package of practice to give optimum production, we try to build agriculture production clusters where 2 to 3 crops are chosen, and the production is enhanced or surged up to the marketable surplus, so that the production can be found out as at a macro level. It should have a presence, even though the small farmers are producing it, but the production should give their impact in the area. So that concept we call it as an agriculture production cluster, and that is a very close intervention to us before reaching to the FPO registration or FPO engagement. So this is a kind of our overall approach to promote the livelihood for say. But as we move towards FPO promotion, in FPO promotion particularly, we help the community in identifying their initial promoters, facilitating the registration kind of thing. We again mobilize the shareholders. I mean, see, shareholders now, earlier they were the farmers, now they are going to become a shareholders. There are a very hairline difference. I mean, they have to, how the farmers now have to behave as a shareholders, what is their key responsibilities, what are their key role of being a shareholder, being a producer of the FPO. So these things need to be, discussed with the farmers, especially women farmers, our key in, I mean, our core area of work. And at the same time, business development is a very key to the FPOs. So that is also we start discussing with the initial promoters what can be the what is the challenge of the area and where the business lines can be developed, where business line can be, I mean, worked on. So and then the resource where the, I mean, since they are the institution, they are the organization of very small and marginal farmers. So where the resource can come, like resource like finance, like MIS, like Ashok has mentioned, that data is very important. And let me take this opportunity to tell you that we have developed I mean, we have helped FPOs to develop a very robust MIS system for the FPOs, where all 105 FPOs keep their data on the monthly basis, their transactional data, their profile data of their shareholders, how their business plan, their cash flows, everything it is available on their MIS system. And it is very customized, and FPO can choose it at their wish, at their will. So this is also a very key intervention area as far as FPO is concerned. And last but not the least, federating the FPOs. See, these, I mean, the way our farmers are small, these FPOs are also not a big corporates. They are also small. So their federation, their their networking is also, Ashok was emphasizing the word networking a lot of times. So their networking is also very, important. So yes. So we are also stepped into the federating the FPOs. It is a very, the work is at a very initial level, but federation is very important. So we, started doing it at the Jharkhand. We have started in MP, we are started in Bihar also. So in that way, this is happening. So these is our major livelihood approach and a key work, key intervention in FPOs. Now, let me tell you about the outreach, FPO outreach, and our impact. As Ashok has mentioned, about 105 FPOs across our nine states, they are there, and around 150,000 women farmers. I'm emphasizing the word women farmers. It should be, I mean, quite clear that PRADAN works in women fraternity only and women farmers only. So they joined their hand, they contributed, they took their share capital, shares in the company, and formed the 105 odd number of FPOs. So they are there. Let me share you that PRADAN has also, developed the two our earlier FPOs where belong to the poultry and tasar commodities, and they are now very, successful, far independent. They don't take, they don't need PRADAN anymore. They have their good business turnover, good resources. So now they are very much independent, like any other corporate. They have 650 crores turnover business per year. So they are there. And later on, we have also started promoting FPOs, around 95 number of FPOs. Those belong to the farm commodities, or some non-farm also, like maize, millets, rye, paddy, pulses, fisheries, livestock. So our newer FPOs belong to those commodities. So this is there. As far as Ashok mentioned about the challenges, Ashok, do you give me a moment to share about the challenges also?
Yeah, I think Rahul,
Rahul,
because in the interest of time, maybe we can go on to the main point. I mean, the whole idea was now, if you can
Varun, only 2 points I want to elicit from Rahulji. One
Yes,
is
yes.
you also mentioned about SHG and FPOs you were comparing. Now, how different it is, or is it a easy go by the SHG model or FPO model? That's one aspect. Second aspect, I saw the dashboards. I think both of you, both Varun and Pradhan, can reply on this. I've seen the dashboards. So it's very, very elaborate and very exhaustive. But how do you get the data into the system? So that's the problem I see in the FPOs where I keep going. Even building up a profile of an FPO is a hard task. So how do you make that happen? So that's it. That's one. Then other thing is success of the FPOs depend on a couple of things like do they deal with the niche product? You said 3, 4 crops are the, or maybe think of the one crop, one district or something. Or are you dealing only with the niche, produce which hits the commercialization? Other important aspect is, I know you had the national lead for the business development, business promotion. How do you bring out the business model for the FPOs? Maybe if you have something to show, maybe the slide will be useful for the audience. So these are the few aspects. The revenue has to be generated well in a sharing mechanism across the value chain stakeholders. But how do you make it happen? So maybe in the course of the presentation ahead, both of you could cover this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
Rahul, I think in the case of the audience and moving the agenda along, I think we can talk about formation of FPOs for quite a while. But I think why don't we talk about how we engaged? I mean,
Yes. Yes.
so there clearly was a need that you saw. So can you talk about why you felt that chatbots could bridge that gap?
Certainly. Thanks, Varun. I mean, bringing to me to that I mean, it was my subsequent point only. You see, FPO has a unique structure in which the shareholders are the customer and at the same time vendor and the stakeholder also. So these are the very unique structure in FPO. It doesn't happen in other corporates where what they are producing they need not to sell it to the shareholders, but here it is. So in that way, the connectivity, the regular connectivity and visibility both are the very important key thing for the FPO to engage with their shareholders. I mean, for the perspective of my audience, let me tell you that here the shareholders are spread from 0 kilometers to the 50 kilometers, as far as 50 kilometers from the FPO office. So now it has become very challenging for the FPOs to keep on connecting to their customers. I would say customers and vendors on the daily basis, and at the same time the visibility is also required because they start from the business like selling the inputs, like trading of their produces. These are the very the businesses which are anyway was happening in that area, and at the same time they are also bringing the unique solutions for the farmers. But these are the initial points. So in these points, visibility is very much required. If you are not visible, if the FPO is not visible, the farmers, even though they are sole shareholders, they have deposited their money, there is a chance that they may lose you, the connection may be lost. So these are the very key challenges which compel us to think about how to maintain these visibility, how to maintain this communication, the communication and the connectivity between those. Here where we met with Agwise, Varun has called us, and it was a very we were wishing and we got it. It was happened in that way. Yes. So and at the same time we were also looking for, we do not want to develop, we do not want to see any any app thing which may be alien for them. You understand what is the penetration of mobile and the digital literacy in our farming community. Even though since Pradhan works with the women, it is even less. So in that way, we can't go a very alien kind of app where the app installation should be taught and the complete usability will be then come to the stake. So in that way, we also try to get the solution which is very easier to, learn. So here it was our, a kind of context or maybe constraint also, you can say. The constraint was given to us. So in that way, we were looking for something like chatbot, which can be then user friendly also. FPO, it cannot be a uniform across all 125 FPO or maybe 1,000 of FPO. We were trying to solve the issue of FPO, not the PRADAN promoted FPO. So in that way, it should be very customized also. The FPO should feel free to make it customized, to fill their catalog as per their wish, to fill their promos at their wish. They should keep on communication at their timing. So these were the kind of requirement. So in that way, we came to the chatbot. And now I cannot lose my nerves that I should invite Varun also to just to show what a chatbot looks like and how does it work. So that will be give the better sense. Otherwise, the words it won't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think you've laid out the challenges in the sense that because it's in rural areas, because connectivity is a problem between members and the FPOs, we needed a really simple and easy to implement approach to bridge the communication gap and to be able to provide services. So that's really where we started, with this goal of bridging the communication gap and providing the main services that the FPOs offer through a new and innovative digital medium. So WhatsApp being the most used chat application in India, and anybody that has a smartphone, even within the rural communities, will have WhatsApp on their phone. So WhatsApp was our platform of choice. When we looked at what are the main services that an FPO provides, so the FPO sells inputs, provides support for government schemes, buys the produce and aggregates the produce from their farmer members, and then it sells it to buyers. The FPO does support the farmer members with crop production advisories. And we have a Connect for Support feature for any other question or query or service that doesn't really fit into these group of 4. So that's really where we started. Nikita, you can go to the next slide. The model for implementation, right? And this is the key for digital adoption in agriculture as a whole. Whether we work with developmental agencies or agribusinesses, the idea of just putting a digital tool out there and expecting it to work and expecting people to use it really is not the right approach. So having a great partner like PRADAN, not only helping in the capacity building and the training of these FPOs on how to use our chatbot, but also continually providing inputs to us on what works, what doesn't work, what features they would like to see was incredibly key. So basically between PRADAN and the FPOs, it's on capacity building and training. And then through our platform, PRADAN gets insight at an MIS level for what's happening when it comes to the number of transactions, whether it be output aggregation requests, input sales, or which crops people are facing the most problems with. So that's the connection between PRADAN and the FPOs. And we as AgWise sit between the FPOs and the farmer members. Now, we started off actually looking at this as a tool for the farmer members, but as we have worked on the project, we realized that this needed to be expanded past just the farmer members. The FPOs don't only sell inputs to their farmer members, they sell inputs to the agriculture community as a whole. And being able to reach out to the local agriculture community at a larger scale means more revenue and turnover for for the FPOs. So, so that's the basic operational model. Likita, can you go to the next slide? So when we started, we were actually expecting this to require, a lot of time to get off the ground. But really, I mean, we had a really a positive experience during our last season, where the two top FPOs that we work with, there were about 380 digital transactions that happened. Most of them were for purchases of the inputs, which resulted in about a little over 1 lakh in revenue. And the second most used service was the request to avail certain government schemes. And then we had a few support questions thrown in there. Now, do keep in mind that the FPOs that PRADAN works with are women-run FPOs. One of the biggest challenges there is that most of the members don't own the smartphone themselves. They have the smartphone as part of their family. So the fact that, I mean, we saw this much traction within that constraint and context was actually incredibly surprising to us. Some of the challenges that we had with the implementation is that really we are taking what FPOs used to do completely offline and bringing them online, right? When you bring FPOs online, we can't use your traditional platforms like Flipkart and Amazon and other platforms, right? So the idea of digital marketing, the idea of providing services digitally was quite new. So the great team at PRADAN spent a lot of time, building the capacity among these FPOs for that. The other feedback that we got was that a phygital approach worked really well, where you have your FPO main teams, core teams going out, being in the small Krishi Melas, having stalls where when a user comes to the stall, or when a potential customer or a farmer member comes to the stall, the person at the stall could provide the advice and for the transaction, but more importantly, they can hand them over to the chatbot, and they're able to interact directly with the FPO head office for whatever transaction they want to make. The feedback that we got, some more feedback that we got on the ground was that, it really helped the communication and engagement at scale. It helped streamline some of the operations. There were greater revenue generation opportunities. It helped also build trust with their customers, in the sense that we had one feedback where during the start of the season, the FPO teams would go out and visit farmers, but the farmers wouldn't really believe the low prices for certain inputs that the FPO was offering. So when the FPO teams went to the farmers, they would onboard the farmers onto the chatbot, and then directly they were able to place orders at these really good prices. And overall, I mean, we looked at a lot higher member engagement. Now, moving forward, some of the features that have been requested were that we need to bring a content calendar in place where, depending on the stage of the season, whether it's early season, mid or late season, there are different services that are required, and a content calendar that can broadcast those services and create awareness for the services at the right time made a lot of sense. We also looked at connecting these FPOs to the buyers of their produce. Now, whether those buyers are your B2B buyers or whether they are local housing communities, the idea of providing a digital catalog, not only for the inputs that the FPO provides, but also all of the output that comes from the farmers. And then, even though we did have a certain amount of images and video content within the chatbot, the main request was we want to see more of that. So that's basically where we're looking at moving forward. I think Likita, can you go to So with that, I think what everybody's waiting for is we can go into what the chatbot actually looks like. And a few questions. What does the combined revenue mean in the pilot? So basically, what that means is through the chatbot, the FPOs received orders worth slightly more than 1 lakh. This was across a 2-month period. We've been working for about 2 seasons now, where all of that data is being aggregated, but it has increased from there. There was another question on, sir, this Agrayan chatbot between the farmer and the FPO, right? Yes, that is correct. What does PRADAN do? Please explain. Okay, so basically, the capacity building for the FPO is handled by PRADAN, in the sense that, again, even though this is a very simple to use technology for the farmer, for the end farmers, for the FPO admins, there is a few things that they need to learn in the case of how to run a digital marketing campaign. How do you upload your products into the chatbot? How do you upload your government schemes into the chatbot? So the PRADAN field teams were there to help and guide the FPOs on how to do that.
Just attend. Let me attend also this question, Varun. Every FPO, almost every FPO has a, kind of promoting agency, CBBO, CSO, or any other agency. So that becomes very, their role becomes very critical to, support what Varun has said about, how the catalog would be made, how the event registration would be done. If the initial FPO doesn't have that much resource to engage with their shareholders base. So here, they are, at the same time, train the trainers, train the field workers, and train the shareholders how to use the chatbot, how to respond on the chatbot. So what are the critical features? So all these things becomes a very critical and it is very important and key aspect for the promoting agency. It is called CBBO in Central Health Scheme, government scheme. So it becomes very critical for them to engage. Yes, Varun, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, that was great. So another question, is there a feature whereby the farmer can sell their produce to the nearby FPO? Yes, I think we showed that. It was the output aggregation feature where the farmer can choose what crop they're growing, the estimated date of harvest, and the expected quantity of harvest, and that request goes to the FPO admin. The FPO admins can choose whether to accept that or not, depending on what their
Varun, just
requirement is.
supplementing that question. Just to supplement that question, do you have a buyer database where they start watching the produce available from your database?
Yes, we do have a database, but not in this system. But we are, very hopeful to, club both the systems in future. But yes,
Something like graduating to ONDC platforms.
Yes, like what Varun has said, there is a graduation of this tool also. Currently, we don't accept, the UPI payment, but all these features, maybe like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's something that we're bringing in to the next phase. Now that we've implemented the chatbot, we've bridged the gap between the FPOs and the farmers. Now the idea is to bridge the gap between the farmers and the outside ecosystem as well. So
There
we're
is a question
looking.
about the cost for the FPO to engage you.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a, a great question. How much does each FPO have to pay? So as of right now, this is a fairly new product for us. Honestly, we are exploring what pricing works. And what we've seen is that it really depends on how much the FPOs can afford. Like Ashok said, in the FPOs that are closer to metro areas are able to afford more. The ones in remote areas are will be able to afford less. So as of right now, we actually don't have a standard pricing for this. One of the goals of the project with PRADAN was to figure out what value the bot can provide and how much the FPOs would be willing to pay. So, uh, so,
Varun, you want to explain about the initial cost and the subscription model you have?
Yeah. With regard to what our pricing model is that there's a fixed subscription fee, and then which is a pretty nominal charge, will be, in the thousands of rupees per year. But there is an additional charge to broadcast. So every time the FPO wants to broadcast, there's a charge per broadcast. But when farmers chat with the chatbot on their own accord, then it is free. There's no additional charge for that. So we're just trying to figure out what pricing would make the most sense. Rajal, if you are interested, we will reach out to you after this and we can discuss what the pricing looks like. Alur says that he wants to start a micro.
Varun, Rajil will be keen to offer the services of soil testing.
Oh, yes. And I'm sorry, to answer your second question, are you open to integrate additional services? Yes, absolutely we are. We understand that there are more services that could be useful. And if we need to integrate with other software platforms to really bring a holistic solution both to the implementing partner and to the FPOs, we are open to doing that as well.
Just to take on Mr. Murthy's indicatives, like he wants to start an FPO. I think what we have discussed is for the existing FPOs, like where they need such kind of services or models to work out. For starting an FPO, I think he's from Chamarajanagar of Karnataka. I think we should approach the promoters bandwagon, like it could be NABARD or it could be cooperative in CDC or the state government departments. Maybe you should reach out to us for a proper connect. Varun, you want to say anything about anything here?
Yeah, I think we're slightly over time now, so we would like to leave you with one more poll question, just to give us an idea on, let's say, who's interested in continuing the discussion either with us or with PRADAN, depending on whether you want to know more about how to run really good FPOs, and also if you're interested in implementation of our chatbots. So please do respond to that and we will connect with you accordingly.
Thank you, Varun. It's a great opportunity given to all of us, particularly given a chance for me to moderate. And I have a new friend today, Rahul. We'll have to talk more and more. And I want you to come into Karnataka, South Indian states where we could be lagging behind But you see the number of FPOs is more in UP and MP. So, and Maharashtra, they have done so well. I think PRADAN has to come in with your models and the connects you have, networking you have.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Actually, there were 3 more questions that came in the Q&A and weren't in the chat from Shashi Singh. How do we generate revenue? I think we talked about that, where in the sense that there's a flat subscription fee that is quite nominal, and then we charge per broadcast that goes out. The second question is the feature for crop polling area enabled. This is something that we can do through the broadcast. Basically, one of the broadcast type are surveys. So in the beginning of the season, you can run surveys, and the farmers can respond at scale on what crop they're growing, as well as what their sowing date is. And a question from Isaac Russell: is the chatbot currently available to facilitate linkages between FPOs and B2B businesses to foster selling farm produce efficiently, or is it confined to just produce aggregation level only? This is where we are going in the next phase of the project. The initial goal of the project was the implementation and the adoption at the farm level and FPO level. But now we are linking the FPOs to the overall ecosystem. And then finally, is there any natural farming solution available in the crop advisories? So with regard to in natural farming, actually, we do have another chatbot with the Art of Living, which is specifically for in natural farming. It has all of your natural farming package of practices. So we haven't brought that into this FPO chatbot yet within this project, but it's something that both Rahul and I have been talking about for a very long time. We do have another chatbot that's specific for natural farming, and we had a webinar about a month and a half ago with the Art of Living, where we showcased the natural farming chatbot. We will reach out to you with a link to that webinar so you can learn more about it. But in case you are looking for a chatbot on natural farming, please do. We will connect with you on this. So
just let me add a bit here, Varun. PRADAN is also committed to the regenerative agriculture and natural farming. And
absolutely.
Whatever package of practice we have uploaded here in this piloting phase, it was all around natural farming and regenerative agriculture system. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
But before closing, I have just 2 suggestions.
Yeah.
One is maybe the existing or the new FPOs which are being mobilized. Can there be a profile format, a blank format, which Rahulji can sit with us, and we can design a format which shows the existing position, and the same profile can be used next year or next year after to compare what's the transition which is happening. I think
that's a great point, Ashok.
Yes, certainly. Yeah.
We have to design a profile format and give it to the FPOs. And in terms of the connects, I think ONDC should be brought into this platform. And also whatever learnings you have from the Tata Cornell's findings in terms of individual micro level, kind of value adds you can bring. I think Rahulji should bring it in here, which can be integrated with the advice models.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, great points there. Okay, so thank you everybody for your time and sticking with us and bearing with us when it came to being a little bit hard to hear or connection problems. We do work in, I mean, our panelists are in remote areas, so connectivity is not always very smooth. And And yeah, we hope to see you in a future discussion. Really great to meet and engage with all of you. Great questions in the chat and from the audience. Thank you so much, Ashok, for moderating this. It's always been a pleasure to be on these panels with you. And Rahul, thank you so much for your time and overall the inputs and support and being such a great partner.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Varun. Thanks a lot, Ashok, and Likita and Lisa. And last but not the least, to the participants also, they are very, enthusiastic, and the questions were really very helpful. Thanks to all. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Gratitudes, we should continue these kind of
Certainly, yeah, I do agree.
even chatbot.
Certainly. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All the best to you.